All those hours alone in my workshop making tiles with Jeanett, after I had found a comfortable relationship with Norway over the last 8 years, making 8 trips there, after feeling very comfortable exploring and traveling and being in Norway. I mean, at the time I was making the tiles of her, I had taken 8 solo trips to Norway over an 8-year period. I had a gallery with many Norwegian antiques that I had been buying on eBay. I had hundreds of vintage Norwegian glass fishnet floats that I had been buying and selling for years, that I purchased from a man in Oslo who I had met twice in Oslo. Norway was always on my mind. And for years, in those hours of solitude in my workshop, I would spend many hours learning about Norway and making posts about Norway. My laptop was sitting in front of me while I was glazing for years. I went through so many laptops because I just get 4 or 5 laptops because they last about 2 years because they just get full of dust. Because I'm sitting there typing as I'm glazing and checking out YouTube and, on social media. I would post pictures of Norway, Norwegian antiques that would arrive in the mail. I would post pictures of photos I had taken of Norway during my trips there. Every year that I would go, I would have another several thousand pictures to share. And I would always, every day I would have, my special that time in the day when I would post a couple of pictures of my trips. I would share and post pictures from my Norwegian friends from their Facebook and Instagram pages. I followed many social media groups that had Norwegian themes. On Facebook, you can share people's pictures. It's not, and back then, it was much, everyone just had the share option. Now they have more options where people don't necessarily allow everyone to share their pictures. You can just send them on Messenger to people. So things are changing as people kind of, adapt and as Facebook and social media adapt. Back then, it was very, I mean, if your friend has the share option on a picture, that means you can share it. That's why they're your friend, right? So, and then the same kind of concept, kind of, it feels like it can be the same way on Instagram. So I would share, but I didn't have Instagram for a while. So back my first few trips to Norway, it was just Facebook. Jeanett and her page, Jeanett Fishing, became a Norwegian I followed, and I enjoyed sharing her posts. So as my interest in Jeanett gained momentum, as she reciprocated acceptance of my interest, my actions of affection towards her would increase. As a result of her acceptance of my affection, I would become increasingly interested in learning about Oda, Norway, because this is where she called home. And all of Norway is interesting to me, which made Oda a new spot to learn about. You see, so I'm not going to, I have lots of places in Norway I explore. Just because I met Jeanett didn't mean I was going to all of a sudden dive right into Oda and try to figure it all out in hopes that Jeanett would like me because I knew more about it. It was a slow process. I didn't have any direct, at the time I didn't know about any direct ties, family ties, or that pinpointed anything significant of that was part of my heritage to Oda. As I learned, there are a number of things that make Oda a place that actually does have some significant, and my family has some significant going-ons that occurred in that region of Norway. But at the time when I'm first starting to meet Jeanett, I'm not just diving in, learning all about Oda. It took time for me to start. What happens if Jeanett doesn't meet when I arrive in Norway and say, Jeanett, I'm here. When can we meet? What if she doesn't say anything? Then it's kind of like, okay, why did I spend all this time here in Oda? Maybe eventually I would have gotten to that region of Norway, but I wasn't, at the time, it wasn't like I, going to be focused on Oda just because I'd been following this woman who posts pictures of her fishing. I followed lots of people, and I tried to become friends in a more serious way with many Norwegians. Jeanett was the one that led to this after those attempts. As I explained, there was the artist in Lofoten who I showed interest in and tested the waters to see what her interest possibly could be. In those long hours, okay, so which made Oda a spot for me to learn about, as Jeanett showed increasing interest in me. In those long hours by myself and my desire to have a real relationship with someone, my most passionate feelings became found in my desire to have a relationship with a Norwegian. My internal hourglass to find someone to love closer to me ran out. I had little interest in exhausting myself any further trying to form friendships with the ones I found attractive who lived here in the United States. Now, I'm going all over the whole state of Michigan. I'm a very successful artist. My tiles have been on the front pages of magazines. I've had several articles about me in local magazines. I made tiles for the Pure Michigan. I was going on my 10th year in one of the most popular tourist spots in Michigan. I watched that gallery every day for 2 years when I first opened. There was never any woman that was coming up to me that showed significant interest in me during all of those times. Not at any art fairs. And if they did, I didn't notice. I'm not sure how different. At some point, at some level, I've seen women just completely interested in somebody, and it's very obvious. And then that person, nothing, never. And then I tried reaching out to people, sending people messages. Mind you, I'm living up here in northern Michigan in Sutton's Bay, and I'm starting to learn what it's like when you're someone who lives in Detroit. And I'm starting to realize, okay, now that I'm 30, then 35, these people are established in their careers down in Detroit. They don't want to come up and change everything just to live with me. Unless they are somehow financially secure, there's no way for them to know how successful I was being. But I tried my hardest to show everyone how much money I was making. I bought gold coins. I showed them cash that I had been saving. But I think because this notion that artists aren't making very much money, and I'm in many ways, I didn't buy expensive vehicles. I purchased property to show people that I can buy this property. I showed them it was paid for in cash. I tried many ways to show the women who are here in northern Michigan and all over the state where I traveled. I tried many things to show everyone how I was doing as an artist, and nothing was happening. And this is not an excuse at all. I'm just explaining how showing myself to the women here in Michigan for so long, being given the cold shoulder so many times by the women here in Michigan, I had to reach out somewhere else for love. And as I was continually reaching out for people in Michigan, I started to explore. I started to put tentacles out for possibilities of women who are in Norway. Jeanett was one of them, and the feelings that I was showing Jeanett that I felt for her, and her acceptance of me having these feelings allowed me to continue this to grow. I had little interest in exhausting myself any further trying to form friendships with the ones I found attractive who lived in the United States. I had mothers come up to me at art fairs and kind of parade their daughter a little bit in front of me. Never did I see those daughters show like they were interested. They kind of wanted to leave, go do something else. None of them ever bought a tile. None of them gave me any hint to think to any hint that there's a possibility here for something more. And you have to on top of that you have to think that I also need to be attracted to the person as well.